Hi all, welcome to my channel, welcome to John's Mould Making. Today we've received issues 91 to 94 and today I'm going to complete issue 91. We get a PCB which goes in the base and a gas detection patch which is here and a few screws. Now I'm going to start with the gas detection patch first, makes it easier for me, and then we'll do the PCB. We also get a replacement label for a cable for the display base, and then we'll have a look at the contents of the magazine. There's also an article on the gas detection patch and what it does as well. That's excellent. But then there's 3 articles in the magazine which we can have a look at also. Anyway, without further ado, let's get on with the build. Okay, so we've got one gas detection patch, and after studying the magazine, we got this one line of rivets here, there, like that, and I'm going to match it up with that rivet there and that bottom rivet there. Hopefully that will keep it nice and straight as it should be. So we got that one there, I believe. There we go. That is how it looks to me in the magazine. Let's check it again. Yep, looks bang on. Excellent. Follows that line of rivets. Brilliant. Okay, dokie. So that's the gas detection patch in place. Now I need to clear my workspace and get the display stand down. So please bear with me. Okay, now we've got the base down. Now it wants us to replace the speaker label CB for CC. Nick that. There we go. Answer that off. And there's a replacement. Excellent. There we go. Lovely jubbly. Now we've got this PCB. So we can set this out. Now, I've worked with electronics most of my life, so the best thing to do with PCBs is to not touch the contacts or the components too much, unless you're properly grounded. You don't like static electricity to kill it. I do love these articles in these magazines, but we'll get to them shortly. Right, we need the screws, which we got here, and basically this PCB will go here like so and sit there, and then we can plug in all the relevant cables. Excellent job. Get the right screwdriver. Gave us a bit of a surprise today. I was expecting them this week, to be honest, the Spitfire issues, but it was good to get them today. Already done another video today with me Mitsubishi Zero Fighter for pack 6, so that'll be on my channel soon as well. There you go, that's the first screw in place. That's all 4 in place with 1 spare screw. Excellent. Now CC, what we've just plugged in, is this third one here, and it goes that way. There we go, that's CC in place, and we want CB on the end and MB and SB. Let's see, where are we? MB is to the left, just there, and CB is on the end here, and SB, where's SB? There's SB. Drag that around here and plug that in. Oops, there we go. This one's a little bit awkward because there's a capacitor in the way. There we go. That's going in. Lovely jubbly. Everyone, CA is the next one. Dum, 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 dum. That's here we go. It's the battery box, which goes just there like that. Now I know some people are replacing the battery box for power supply, which is all fine and dandy, because I will probably do exactly the same. There we got SR up here, that's that one, and MR over here, which leaves us with ML, which is looking a little bit short there actually, so pull that out of there and put that in there. And then we've got the on-off switch, which is SA. Oh, sorry, no, we're not. Where is SL gone? Oh, there she's hiding. There we go. SL is there. Right. So, and it obviously doesn't want us to plug in the last one for whatever reason, but that's up to them, I suppose. Well, there we go. So that's the gas detection patch fitted, the change of label on here, and these are now redressed again. So I'm going to the clip. Oh, I'm going to tie them up with cable tie, make them even tidier. Excellent. But there we go. It's the first circuit board, and over there is a plane. Excellent. Lovely jubbly. Pity we still can't do anything with it, but anyway, there we go. Nothing more to see. Okie doke, I'll put this back and we'll have a look at the magazine. Okay, now the plane is back on the display base. It's not level, so ignore anything that looks untoward. It's not level on here, but what I wanted to do was bring everybody's attention to the wingtips. Obviously the wingtips aren't meeting as they should do, and it's basically because of this post, this little post here that fits into the wing here. Now people have been posting what modifications they're going to do, or fixes for it. Basically what I've done, I put double-sided tape here and double-sided tape here on the wing itself, here across here, so when they meet it's double sticky, and also in here, because then that fixes to the, now I know some people have used blue tack and some resin putty, or putty I should say. Now that's fine and dandy, but if you do want to take it off, obviously double-sided tape you can easily peel back off again, but obviously you will have to replace it once you've done that. And if you super glue this, it's permanent, that's not going to come off unless you break something. So look for the option, either try blue tack here and double-sided tape here and here and here, or my favourite one is some double-sided tape around here, which then will slot into here, as well as double-sided tape here and here. Anyway, seems to work for me. So anyway, I'll put this away and we'll have a look at the magazine. Okay, no, lovely jubbly, brilliant that Spitfire now, isn't it? 3 more issues this next month, so, and they've all got a great lot to put in on the, well, we've got the wing again next time with the springs. That'll be fun. Wasn't too bad last time. Okay, so first article, Air Defence of Great Britain. The Air Defence of Great Britain units, virtually all equipped with Spitfires, flew a wide range of missions in the lead up to D-Day. In the main pitch, we've got pilots and aircrew of number 602 Squadron gather for a photograph in front of Spitfire MK1A MH909 at Detling in Kent in January 1944. The ADG-B squadrons were increasingly active as the weather improved in the first months of 1944. Although most flew Spitfire MK9s, some remained equipped with the earlier Mark BB. Many of the latter were of the clip wing variety, leading to them being unflatteringly described as cropped, clipped and clapped. Amongst those flying the aircraft was number 234 Squadron, operating from Colchester in Norfolk. The unit flew Jim Crow's coastal patrol to intercept enemy aircraft crossing the British coastline over the North Sea and escorted Beaufighter or Beaufighter anti-shipping strikes. Other ADG-B units, including numbers 124, 131 and 616 squadrons, flew Spitfire Mark 7s that were pressurised and optimised for high altitude operations up at that lonely outpost in Orkney for the protection of the Royal Navy anchorage at Scapa Flow or Scapa Flow. Number 602 Squadron also had a trio of Mark 7s alongside its Mark 5s on 20th of February 1944. Pilot Officer Ian Blair was scrambled in a Mark 7, as he later described in an interview. We scrambled to intercept a high-flying ME-109 on a recce. In my logbook I've written, scrambles 26 minutes to tally-ho, aircraft destroyed. I was in a Spitfire Mark 7 which had a pressure cabin, and we climbed smartly up to 12,000 feet and spotted a vapour trail at 12 o'clock. We got to 38,000 feet as this aircraft was phenomenal. It had pointy wingtips. The Hun turned and dived to starboard at an indicated airspeed of 500 miles per hour. I had 2 squirts at 1,000 yards, then my number 2 passed and close to 300 yards in the stern, but missed. In fact, his guns failed to fire. I then had a go just 3 seconds at 100 yards. The starboard wing blew off and the aircraft crashed in the drink with no sign of the pilot. Blair's victim was Bf 109 G6/R3, flown by Oberlieutenant Helmut Quednu, who had taken off from Stavanger in Norway on a reconnaissance mission to Scapa Flow. Excellent stuff. That goes on for a couple of pages. I did read quite a bit out of that one. I'll have a dry mouth, mate. Next page, number 501 Squadron, one of the highest scoring units of the Battle of Britain. Number 501 Squadron flew Spitfires on the Channel Front from April 1941 through to July 1944. In the main pitch, we got a Hurricane 1 take off from Gravesend on 18th of August 1940 during the height of the Battle of Britain. In the main article, number 501 County of Gloucester Squadron was the 14th of 21 flying units established as part of the Royal Auxiliary Air Force. Formed on 14th of June 1929 as a bomb unit and initially named the City of Bristol Squadron, it was issued with DH-9As at Filton in Gloucestershire. These were replaced by Wapitis in September 1930, which in turn made way for Wallaces in January 1933. That article goes on for a couple of pages. They did switch to Spitfires, and on the next page we got the Pacific flying boats. Flying boats were ideal for patrolling the vast distances of the Pacific, which had limited airfields. As the war progressed, Allied squadrons performing scouting and anti-submarine missions were joined by night attack and dedicated rescue units. In the main picture we got a renovated PBV-1A Catalina flying above the old Warden Aerodrome at Shuttleworth Earthshaw in Bedfordshire on 2nd May 2021. And in the main article, in late 1941, the US Navy's Patrol Wings 1 and 2 had 81 consolidated PBY Catalinas, 68 of which were in Hawaii on 7th of December. They provided the only long-range early warning of approaching surface fleets, but even this large number of flying boats was inadequate to maintain constant coverage over all sectors. Night patrols were uncommon, allowing Japanese carriers to approach under cover of darkness and launch aircraft at dawn. The first action of the Pacific War was an attack by a VP-14 Catalina on a Japanese midget submarine off the island of Oahu, where more than an hour before Japanese carrier-based aircraft struck Pearl Harbor. Immediately after the attack, the 3 airborne PBYs were ordered to switch to the northwest of Oahu. One was attacked by returning Zeros but escaped. There we go, excellent stuff. That goes on for a couple of pages. Well, actually it goes on for 4 pages. Let's turn the page. There we go. And on the back page we have the next wing panel, issue 92. Now we know those springs are a little bit fiddly. I will be doing a little mod on them springs just to keep it centered. It's only applying a little bit of glue on one spring onto the actual loop, but it should be centered just to get that even distribution, pull back of that rest of the mechanism, you know, the little indicator panel. But I'll show you that when we come round to it. Anyway, that is excellent. That I'm glad these came before Christmas. Give me something to do. Seems we're going to be stuck in the house a little bit longer than expected, but there you go. Anyway, if you did like that, give us a big thumbs up, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I know I won't see you before Christmas, so have a very Merry Christmas, but I'll definitely see you before the New Year. But Happy New Year anyway. Stay safe, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.